You're good. Hey, guys and gals, welcome back to another episode of the Constructive Liberty Podcast. As always, intentionally designing a lifestyle of freedom. Today, I've got Brian Norton from Food Forest Farms on with me. And Brian, why don't you go ahead and tell us who is a Brian Norton and how do you go from where you started out back in high school, even, or a kid? Told me you were a troubled teen at times, to who you are today.
Troubled teen, that was me. All right, I threw this on just to start since you picked the Pooh Bear picture out of the collection for the promo.
I love it.
Oh man, the troubled teen. That is so funny. Yeah. Okay, so my dad was a crazy sales dude for H.J. Heinz Company back in the 70s. He was like their executioner sales guy. So territories that were underperforming, he would get sent in and whack everybody and rebuild them and just rock star them, right? And then onward. So my whole growing up, I got to literally hit the reset button on the video game every 3 to 5 years. And after it happened once or twice, I was old enough, right, to figure out, holy shit, it's a game. I'm going to get to hit the reset button again in 3 years. So, like, what am I going to do this iteration of the game? So I got to play in different states, different parts of the country, different school districts, right? But I was entering the system each time, knowing now it was a game. So I tried out different cliques, right? Because in one group, I was like the youngest Eagle Scout ever. And in the next iteration, I was a big, huge fucking burnout. In the next iteration, I was like lettering on the tennis and swim team. So
So kind of like the game of what is that? The Sims, where you get to choose your character and kind of go with your own plot line each and every time.
Because it is a game in real life. It's always a costume. It's always right. Everybody's always playing a role. So I tried out different roles. And then I got done with college. I got a BA in business admin pre-law, and I was on the way to economics degree. I just didn't have time to. I was done. I wanted to make money. So I went to Chicago and started selling kosher meat in Chicago. Think about like selling ice to Eskimos. Pretty established. You're gonna get your teeth kicked in. So went all the way to the bottom. It was awesome too, right? My dad was national sales manager at Heinz at that point. I could have got a job at any food company in a blink, right? The conversation I had with him went something like, if I find out you made a call to any of your buddies anywhere, I'm just going to fucking quit. Like literally, like the third day in, if I find out, done. And now you're up through the mud. So
don't make it on your own.
Do not help me. Right. It was, So I started out a pretty fucking lowly position, right? I had like 2 weeks in the meat plant, cutting meat, learning fucking how kosher meat is made, because they don't let you on the street unless you can know. So that taught me, like, if you're gonna sell something, know it. Don't just, right? Or I don't know. I've always had a problem with having ethics.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Right? It's the part of growing up through the whole being an Eagle Scout, like service, take right. Everything's better if everything's better, right? Don't be a part of the problem.
Work for what you get, and that's what we're taught.
Yeah. So except. So I grew up in the thing of like always more, right? Barbie land and plastic, living on the right side of the tracks because those people don't do that kind of work and blah, blah, blah. Oh, fuck. So talk about programming, right? 15,000 hours of fucking government school on top of like somebody who was like, my parents are deep in the matrix, right? Because he kept getting rewarded and getting moved up in giant food echelon land. So, the problems as teenagers get worse the higher up you go. All right, I lived on both sides of the tracks. I know how it goes. When you move to the nicer neighborhoods, right, the problems just don't look the same. they're worse.
Still have the same problems. Yeah, they're just more money, more problems, bigger problems.
Bigger problems, right?
Yep.
That are easier to paper over. So they're able to get worse because you can't hide them. Because when you don't have, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So growing up through the different side and growing up through the social ranks and continually moving and being told to like, that is the goal. Fuck. So I
Yeah.
bought into
So,
it. I went to
so
college.
at what point? At what point in there, like your dad being a salesman for Heinz, way up high on the ladder? You said at what point did you kind of have come to the realization that either I don't want to go down that path, follow what he did, or
No,
I
I got
actually
sucked
can
into it.
do
I
what
got
my
fucking
own thing.
it was yeah. So I got sucked into it, right? So I started in the food thing, and I was really good at it. Up you go,
Mm-hmm.
up. Kept working for small companies that got bought out by giant companies, and when they would get bought out by the giant companies, HR would get too close to me. Blah! I jettisoned myself because I fucking do it my way. That was why I was the best sales guy. I didn't like playbook. Poof, let's just, what do you want? You're paying for results or are you paying to play by the playbook? And the big guys were, because they didn't give a shit because they wanted to grow on a schedule. Small companies that are family owned want to grow as fast as they can. So youngsters starting out, you want to be a career guy living under fluorescent lights and humping your little sales suitcase around for 50 fucking cities a year for almost nothing. Go to work for ConAgra or Hormel or Serum.
Mm-hmm.
You want to make money and have fun because there is nobody to report to because you're not publicly held. Go to work for a $50-100 million company that makes something real, preferably in the US, but like a real thing. You will have so much fun. And I can coach you.
So you've got all that sales experience. How fast forward just a little bit in there? Where do you get to?
So I jettisoned myself.
Yeah.
I kept trying to find more ethical companies to work for. As I had, my kids are like 17, 18 now, right? So as we started to have kids, it was like, we should probably find a church. So we went on this hunt for like realizing like it's just a community of people. Who do we want to hang out around?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So we went on this big church hunt before the first kid was born. We ended up settling on the oldest Buddhist church in Seattle. So hanging around with those guys for a while, right livelihood is one of the tenets of the path. So I remember it so distinctly. It's like 20 years ago. Some old lady, when I told her what I did, she was like, "It's okay, you can change that." Right? And they just ground like one little piece of sand in the gears, fucking the whole thing to a halt. It took like 4 or 5 more years to realize like helping giant food do their thing is just fucking evil. Right? I'm just part of the leverage of the fucking evil to just feed shit to everybody and kill them. I don't know.
Yeah,
sorry.
We've all got got our own path to that realization that what everybody sees as normal actually is so far from normal.
Right.
So how did what that lady told you? Like what was
So
your
then,
mindset, or how did that move you forward?
Okay, so then I tried to find the most ethical food company that I could find, right? So that's when I found what now I know as a permaculture coffee company. So they were doing coffee a totally different way to roast than anyone had roasted before in history, up until 1500s till 1980 something, and then new tech, right? So they were on the edge of that. Health benefits were really good. They were real. It was like a real thing that really helped people. Then we got merged with these green coffee guys that owned the fields themselves. They own the import, they own the export. They went around the world and taught farmers like if you treat the plants more holistically and your people more holistically and run your business more holistically, pay everybody more, we will get you more for your beans on the sale when it goes up to hard currency. Everybody wins. The whole supply chain wins.
Yeah.
Right. So Bill really was the first permaculture teacher I'd ever known. And he still to this day probably doesn't even know the word. But he ran the company as a holistic living entity. And I got to see it at a big enough scale to know like, aha, this works. And then Jack started getting into the permaculture thing at about the same time from TSP.
Yep.
And that, I forgot, he gave this big rant around a couple of hundred in about doing what you want, following your passion, fuck it, like do the thing. So that's when I had the biggest office in the coffee building. They came in that Monday morning and like all the furniture was mine. So the weekend, I took it all out. Like, they literally came in that Monday morning and like there wasn't any there was like files and shit that he didn't want to take to my house and like a telephone on the floor.
Wipe
like,
them out.
They did not believe me that I was like, I live 15 minutes from here. If you really want me, just jingly. It's the same as me walking down the hall and you guys all pissing 14 more times and then we have the same meeting in 15 minutes. Over. But as soon as I removed myself from the building, magically, like all the meetings that had to happen all day like didn't actually have to happen. So so that was the first step to like getting out, right? Was like remove myself physically since I was on the road most of the time anyway. And then I really got the idea for like, okay, I am going to go into the medical cannabis business and help people grow their own, get their own, source their own, do their it's been legal medically out here for 2 decades, a long time.
But would you say that was another one of those shifts, like the Sims shift, where you just wanted to change who you were? You just walk in that moment and decide.
I've grown weed for fucking 2 decades. Every single place you shouldn't grow weed everywhere. Like back in Chicago in the day when you couldn't have a seed, I had a giant amount of plants and survived rental inspections. But so the problem was, right, the way they write the laws, you can be a medical patient, but if you can't get to the place they want you to go buy the stuff because maybe you're like on oxygen or up to shit or in a wheelchair or like you can't go get the thing, what good does it give you to have the right to have the thing if you can't get the thing?
Right. Yep.
So problems are always solutions. So that was the whole like, how can we help people get what they want? And ethnogenic medicine is basically plant medicine, right? From the earth. It exists. It has existed before us. It'll exist after us. It's here. It might have been put here for us. Depends how you look at that. So how could I help people exercise their right to plant medicine? So that was kind of the direction I went. I found this other guy who kind of jettisoned himself out of corporate America. He started a clone company. We started doing like a bunch of genetic work. Then I started going down the hydroponic trail. So yeah, just basically detaching from corporate America, realizing I'm not going to have a giant 6-figure salary anymore, right? Because people that are in need and are hurting don't usually have a lot of money. Yep. They can do other things, right? They could feed you or like other things other than cash. So that's when I really got into the whole bartering thing and like alternative side economies because everything was really gray. Like, what were you actually providing for them, right? So,
So at what point in there did you does the coffee business and the cannabis business did you merge those, or are those two separate things that you're working on?
I do so many different things, right? As the right, like Jack talked about, as the whole medical cannabis thing started coming up, right? He even talked about it back in the very early day of CBD about the boom bust cycle and startup of a new industry and how it's going to exaggerate all the yeah. So the pricing went complete to shit as it expanded, right? Because you get supply. Oversupply shakes out the weak hands as the market consolidates. So going through the whole like watching industries go through that cycle in food, I knew what I was watching. Jack's sitting there yelling about the commodity side of it and all that, and I'm watching it in real time like, yeah, that's true. So a kilo of CBD to put in tinctures and soaps and all the stuff that you put into commercially The 1 year was running about $10,000. The next year, as they were opening up hemp farming in Washington, it was down to $1,500.
Wow. So your market, the profit that you can make just dropped out the bottom.
Right? Because Oregon saw the way to sell licenses by selling it by the square foot, right? Selling their ground. So no matter how the crop went or didn't go, the state would just get the money. Washington, on the other hand, went with the limited licenses, right? More like the unionist protectionist route. So you had one neighbor with like the state kind of being smart, right? Of like, hey, every inch of the state can get licensed. It's this many dollars a square foot. Pay up. We don't give a shit. Have fun. So that's how you had Oregon oversupplied that year by like 990,000 pounds. And that's not hemp.
Wow.
That wasn't the hemp stuff. That was the real stuff. So, oversupply finds a way. Gets destroyed, right?
Yeah. We've talked about the CBD for a bit. Somebody, like a lot of people are still on the fence about that, or still, it's illegal in a lot of places. What are the benefits, or what have you found?
Not illegal any place. The only thing that is illegal is Delta 9 THC.
Okay.
So a cannabis plant is a cannabis plant.
Right.
What makes it into a hemp plant is that of the 125 different cannabinoids that it's spitting out, one of them is Delta 9, one's Delta 8, one's Delta 10, one's Delta A. When they wrote the law, they didn't even understand that there were 125 cannabinoids. The basic chemistry, way back when they wrote all that stuff federally, they could only identify this Delta 9 thing because it happened to be like the most of it sticking up, like in the chemical spectrum, right? Lazy politicians, all they want to do is block some shit so they could sell more booze and
more licenses. Yeah.
So they didn't know that existed. So all the laws got written for Delta 9. That's why. If you go to naturally infused right there, Delta 8.
Delta 8. Okay. Yep.
So Delta 8 will get you just as high. It's no different, right? But this is completely legal because it's not Delta 9. And so a plant that only produces the 124 components and it's just shy on Delta 9, below 3/1000ths, that plant, the feds wave a wand over and they bless it. And they call that cannabis plant now a hemp plant because of 125 cannabinoids, one of them is light.
Right.
Now you take that plant and you take it to the oil factory and they shove it by the metric ton in big vats in alcohol, right? And strip off all 124 of the oils. And they're super smart and fast now because they're big, giant medical plants. Strip all the 124 components down into 124 vials, one CBD, one CBG, one CBN, they're all there, right, in their constituent parts. So you could get all the Delta 8 you want and get as high as you fucking want legally because it's not Delta 9. That's what the federal law is against. All the pop testing, for Delta 9. So if you don't,
I've got a comment over here on Float. Somebody said Delta 8 is illegal in some states. Louisiana passed a law against it last August.
Delta 8
dropping the legality issue of it. Why would someone want to take some of that? What are some of the benefits that a person could see from?
So cannabis in general, it's the only plant that has ever been grown on all 7 continents.
Really?
Human beings took it to all 7 continents and made sure it stayed alive. So it's a seed-bearing plant if you're a Bible-reading person. The cannabinoids, right? When I said Delta 9, Delta 8, they didn't even know the others existed. In your body, you have an endocannabinoidal system. So there are CB1 receptors and CB2 receptors. So CB1 receptors are in the brain. That allows the cannabinoids to cross the blood-brain barrier very easily. It is a socket, right? And the delta 8s, delta 9s are the keys chemically. They only fit each other. And your body has them in every cell and organ in your body. So why would a human body have all these keys that only fit one chemical on the planet in every cell of your body as we've evolved through all of time? And why did we take that one plant to all 7 continents and make sure it stayed alive?
Mm-hmm.
And even though it's like under penalty of death, torture, caging, captivity, it still happens. Almost as if it's the thing that makes us better naturally, without all the infrastructure and all the superstructure and all the Walgreens and drive-thrus and drug drivers and armed guards and Agent Oranging and shooting people from fucking helicopters, right? It just exists. It grows naturally. You don't have to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know.
With those receptors and all of that, like you said, the
okay, so it's
the key to unlocking your body. What does that do for you?
Okay, so CBD. So as stuff comes out of the plant, there's this path. CBG is created first. Then it down regulates to the psychoactive side, right? The stuff will get you high, or the non-psychoactive side, the stuff that's more like anti-inflammatory and like regulates eating. They're finding CBN is a sleep regulator of epic proportion. Little CBG mixed in with things makes the thing below it work harder. So my recipes for my candies, coffee melts, that stuff has a little tiny bit of CBG to allow the CBD molecule to work better. CBD, okay, this doesn't treat, help, prevent, cure any disease, not forward-looking health statements, any other FDA bullshit right here. Insert.
Not medical advice.
So I sell the stuff, right? Cannabinoidnaturalfoods.com or Forest Farms. Just click through. You got to say you're 21. But it's the world's best anti-inflammatory. So take any anti-inflammatory that comes from the white-shirted guys with the stethoscopes. Read the package insert. Any of them. Tylenol, right? Above 600 milligrams goes from pain reliever to anti-inflammatory. It's what everybody gets fucking put on. If you're on something where you have chronic pain and you're on that, read the package insert. What's it say after 14 days? How's your liver? You should be going to doc, get checked.
Not great.
It's going to smoke. It will kill you. It will kill you. So if you have something that is massively anti-inflammatory that doesn't have any side effects, like destruction of bodily organs, because it was actually like co-developed with you over all time, maybe you want to try that. Maybe. So the thing to do, if you're a little on the like, does it work? Does it not work? I don't know. Go on websites and such where people don't have a vested interest and look at what other people that use the stuff say. They can talk freely about why they use it, what they use it for. You can ask them questions. People that sell the stuff kind of muzzled.
Yeah, they're trying to sell it.
Well, legally, we are muzzled, right? I can't tell you why
that it does this or that or
massively anti-inflammatory. So if you think about disease, you have heart disease. You don't really have something like heart disease is from the inflammation of your heart. Liver disease is from the inflammation of your liver, right? Psoriasis, things of the skin, right? It's from skin as an organ being fucked up. So you might want to rub something on it that's antibacterial, antiviral. It seems to work a lot.
There you go.
When it's tried. So
now you also have an infused coffee, don't you?
Yeah. Okay, so it's funny. My brother and my dad were both drug reps in their line of shit that they do, right? So listening to drug reps talk back and forth to docs at parties, patient compliance is like the number one thing, right? You get prescribed a thing, you're supposed to take it every day at whatever. Nobody does, right? That's why all the pills have the fancy new Bluetoothy stuff in them now, right? That tells you if you took them or you got a whoop and then whatever. They're working on how to fix that. So, well, okay, back up one step. If you're trying to treat yourself for something and it's an all over thing, it's an all of you thing, like maybe MS or like, you think of systemic level things. You need the CBD to be in you at a systemic level, all of you.
Right.
If you like tore your shoulder out and it's a mechanical thing, or it's a place that hurts because a thing is like you have cancer in an area or a thing, treat things the way they are. So topicals for areas that hurt directly, treat that, right? There's no need to send it through you if you try to treat a blown out shoulder or elbow or something.
It needs to be there ahead of time.
Yeah. So, okay. So my mom had big issues with sleep and being on sleep pills for all that stuff. So I was working with her for like, how do we get CBD into you on a regular basis at a known amount? It doesn't really matter like that when you take it, right? If you're taking it on the daily, just having enough in you floating around, filling those ports helps. It massively helps with sleep regulation. So I messed around with the dose a little bit, and it kind of ended up where I wanted her to be able to do easy math too, right? Throw it on the scale. I got 20 grams of coffee. I got 40 grams of CBD. Super easy, or milligrams.
Yep.
So I didn't want the math to have to be crazy. So that's kind of where we ended up. So now the bags are 1,000 milligrams of CBD. That means when you're making cups of coffee, they're about 20 milligrams, which is a perfect dose. And nobody forgets to drink their coffee in the morning. So by putting
I don't.
Right. No, it was the how do I get this in her every day without her having to think about it and be the pill box, and did I take it today? And like, there you go.
Yep.
1 cup every day, 1 cup, you have your coffee and on with your day.
Does that affect the coffee taste at all? Or is that like, can you not even tell that it's there?
Okay. The other coffee companies that are out selling cannabis coffee have used coffee oils, right? And re-put them back on the beans, which puts the cannabis taste and the oil taste.
Gotcha.
My coffee is really delicate specialty coffee. It's beautiful coffee. So I worked with Naturally Infused on a process that I can't talk about on how to do that, but not mess up my coffee taste.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. If anybody wants to start a private label, or you have a need for a cannabinoid thing that you need a custom thing made for you, they're FDA regulated, Florida Food and Drug certified. It's a great company. They make custom products.
Gotcha.
Yeah. If you buy cases, you can have your own labels put on them, and so if you're looking for something for yourself, that's I only carry a few items. My store's really limited. All the stuff works for what is intended for. It works beautifully. But I don't do like custom formulations and all that. I work with those guys. So yeah.
So your CBD coffee, do you air roast that, or you get these other people to infuse it and air roast it for you?
No. It's my coffee.
Okay. Yeah. I thought that's what it was.
Yeah. They take care of the infusion process, and then they have another brand of coffee they run, and I do somebody else's CBD coffee brand. So you might be drinking my great air roasted coffee with somebody else's label on it already.
Yeah, there you go. Yep. Yeah. So you started a project, I think last year, the 500 project. Talk a little bit about that. Yeah,
500 project. Okay. Let's see, 500
hey, look
project.
At that.
Let's see. It should say, 500 project coffee. Okay, yeah, there's different versions of these that I've had made. The one I like best is Know Your Producer. I had some that say Know Your Farmer. So hashtag. Okay, basically, if you are a small business person and you're getting some stuff rolling, everybody hits you for advertising for everything. My God, Yelp and Google and Facebook and like never ends. So I'll Twitter you this for, but they all want to get paid up front.
Mm-hmm.
It's competitive. The amount of business you'll get back for what you pay for in the beginning. Remember how I said about like getting your head taken off by the experienced people because they're there to farm. They are there to farm the farmers.
Yep.
So how I forgot what Jack was saying. It was something about going off on Uber and Lyft one day about how all the guys that bought taxi medallions were feeling stupid because like these guys just came and undercut the whole business. So it was like, yeah. So I thought about it for a day and I was like, how can we I hate advertising. Every time the guys call me, I'm like, tell you what, when I was a corporate sales guy, I got 10 cents a pound. I made a lot. Like I'll pay you $1 a pound. Sell shit. After you sell it, I'll pay you. Right? Nobody will take it. Nobody will take 10 times the best deal I ever had in my life and made a lot of money with. So because it's not about that, right? It's about sucking the money out of you and they'll throw their shit up and maybe it'll work. They don't care because they don't care. So since they don't care, we shouldn't care either. So we should bankrupt them. So how do we bankrupt big, giant advertising companies that are just meant to suck you? All these people say they want to know producers. Like, I want to know a guy. Okay. There's all kinds of guys that make stuff that want to know people that want their stuff. So what if we all just talk to each other continually? So the hashtag project was born. If you put hashtag 500 project in your posts, if you are a producer of a thing, think about like shade tree mechanics, massage therapists, financial advisors, people that like bake, people that might have like a home kitchen where they do meals for other people, like agorist stuff. It could be as above board and a real business or as agorist as you want. Doesn't matter. So when you use hashtags on any of the social media platforms, it goes around the AI. They don't serve you up the slop, right? They serve you back what your hashtag was. What are you going to prove? Because in that instance, right, they want to serve what you're looking for because you're looking for that thing.
Something specific, yeah.
Dogs afloat or whatever. So when I post, I put 500 project. I'll put 500 project coffee, 500 project specialty coffee. Sometimes I put 500 project Airbnb or 500 project hip camp but whatever, just get it out there. So if other people are looking for a place to stay or a camp or coffee, they will find me because my posts will just pop up. Then they can look back through my posts, see like, it's a real human. It's not like a franchise of some like Chinese subsidiary company.
Some bot posting over and over again.
It's a real person like doing it, right? And then you can DM me, hey, saw your shit. We can have an actual conversation. You can buy my stuff or not or whatever. The whole like, why pay for all this like nothing when it's so simple to meet actual people that do the real thing? So the 500 project was born. So if the more I talk about it, the more other people talk about it. So if you go to my Food Forest Farms page, there's a little click on like the drop down. Go to the 500 project page. There's this logo with the center open and the bottom open and the sides are all open. So all you do is drop it in paintbrush, slap your name on it, stick your little logo of a wrench or a honeybee or whatever the heck you do in the middle of it, and boom, you're up. Put it as a logo here and there on some social media. People want to find you. Like, I don't know, podcaster, right? You could have one with a microphone. Maybe that's how you get guests just to come find you.
500 Project Podcast. There you go.
You should put a microphone in the middle of it.
Yeah, what's behind the 500? Is that like connect 500 people, or is that kind of like the 1,000 True Fans model?
It was the whole thing of my coffee club originally. I was going to make it 500 people in the coffee club because I was like, he does it on 1,000. Fuck it, I'll do it on 500. But it just you had to have something to put to remember to put in the posts so that everybody around the globe can start using it. And I always like the Spartan, the 300, right? It's just a number you can remember with that whole thing. So 500 sounded good. So that's how it ended up being the 500 project.
Okay. There you go. It makes sense.
So if we all just tell like 10 people, it's a snowball. It never comes down. It only gets bigger. There's only more hashtags in every social media ever. They don't go away. So the more it gets used, the more it will get noticed. The more it gets noticed, the more it gets used, the more, right? And then Shazam, the last turning, everybody's like, whoa, this has always been around. Yeah. Somebody had to start it. So yeah, I did the old I didn't know about Bitcot license, but I threw up my own version of that underneath the whole project that says like anybody's free to use it, but you can't be a government and you can't be like a subsidiary. You have to be the person that does the thing. You can't be an employee of a company that does a thing. You personally, if you're going to use it as a producer, have to produce the thing.
The thing. Yeah,
Yourself.
there you go.
Nobody else. You. That doesn't mean outsourcing it to China, bringing in some plastic shit and saying like, I make the thing. No. So, and it's self-policing, right? Because I've released it to the world. It's free. I get nothing from this other than maybe publicity that people will come back and find Food Forest Farms because the hashtag. But yeah, she's free. It's flying on its own now. So if you see somebody using it incorrectly, call them out. You know, self-policing. It's a voluntary world.
Yep. At least it should be. We need to get back to that for sure.
I have not found voluntary solutions are so easy when you're just willing to like let go of the paradigm. Just as soon as you let it go, time only constant. That is it. That is it. So that was part of how I jettisoned myself, right? Real estate in the coastal Pacific Northwest is just been going crazy. Oh yeah. I was going to say this. Yeah. This was my thought earlier in the day. The one thing I wanted to tell like younger people, like looking for like how to do it. Buy real estate. So they're going to throw right now. There's first-time home buyer deals, right? 0% down. All you have to do is make the nut. That's it. That is your door in. So I went to the most depressed area with the XXX movie theaters that were closing that happened to be like right down on the water across from the marina as it was in its full-fledged crack heyday back in the like late 90s, Des Moines, Washington. I bought the cheapest condo in the entire city. 0% down, right? Because the feds were giving away first-time home buyer. You just have to have a job. Okay, so go get a fucking job at Walmart. Literally, 2 weeks. There were 4 weeks. The feds want 2 pay stubs.
Yep.
Like literally, you and your spouse go be greeters. 2 paychecks, 4 weeks, free house. And I am not kidding. Free house, free fucking house. They're giving. Don't believe me. So we did 2.5, 3 years there. Like, right. We bought in the nastiest place we could. Every place else near it along the waterfront was better. Better towns don't allow shitty towns to be near them.
Yeah.
Rich people buy shit and make it better. They always do.
Yep.
So they started coming in, buying up the stuff, closing down the stuff, getting rid of the taverns. Ta-da! I think in 3 years we made like $100,000 on that place, right? And
wow, nice.
0 down. 0. When they say 0 down, first time buyer, they mean it, $0. So we took that and moved to the fancy town that was 5 miles up, right next to the water with the like private beaches and all the fucking yacht club shit. And I bought the cheapest house again in that city that was sold that year. A guy died in it 2 or 3 years earlier. House didn't want to deal with it. It was like burnt shag carpets an inch thick from the 70s, right? It had been like overgrown with trees for 3 years in the fancy neighborhood. You couldn't even see the house really because it was so I got a construction dumpster, and by the end of the first weekend, I had already made $50,000 because I literally just cut the shit away from the house. There was a house. I could have flipped it that weekend. So like neighbors were like, wow, look at that. I'm like, yeah, look at that.
There is a house there.
Mountain view right out my front window when you just cut the shit away. There's the mountain. So yeah. So same thing, right? Bought the shittiest house. It happened to be like an old Frank Lloyd Wright. I redid the kitchen myself. So I taught I learned a bunch of trade stuff along the way. So, you know, over the course of 10 years, all new plumbing, all new electric, all new kitchen, jacuzzi tubs, all that shit that I like drove down to Oregon to avoid the 10% sales tax.
Mm-hmm.
But I bought like all the kitchen stuff, right? That saved me like $5,000 that one trip to Oregon with a $200 trailer. So you can choose what to pay. But so real estate, right? Parlay. So when I got divorced and I left Fancy Town, I looked for where were the Bloods and Crips actually having shootouts, and I bought a town on that street. Yeah, because after the shootouts, they mop it up and move on, right? It's like, boom. So same thing. I've been in here like 10 years. I've tripled up on this place.
Is that where you are currently?
Yeah, it's my quarter acre in the city.
Okay.
So so it's a duplex, right? So I own both halves. And then it had its own upper garage that's now this studio. And then a whole other driveway that we run an Agora market on the weekends. So like anybody in like Freedom Cell Network, that kind of stuff, come and like they set up on the weekends and sell whatever. Don't care.
Yep.
So yeah. Well, everybody's been mascus out here like for 2.5 years. So I stopped doing the real farmers market because I'm not going to stand around in a muzzle and like a whole. I couldn't do it. So that's
can't deal with all the Karens, right?
Oh fuck!
Don't even get started on that.
Oh yeah.
So at the beginning of all this shit, you started a festival. Is that where the property is? Where you're at now? Is that where you hold SquatchFest at?
Yeah, so I got acreage out of town, and so that was the whole like the big Thanksgiving when he was like the whole state's gonna be just locked down in 7 days. So we just flipped him off. We're like, here's the address, Governor, come get us. We're gonna be here. And like 100 people showed up for a giant bonfire. I didn't promise. I mean, at that time the property was really rough. You could barely like get in. It was like there's going to be nothing. It would be a bonfire and peeking out. That's it. And like 100 people showed up.
Nice.
We camped at the weekend. So that's when SquatchFest kind of the idea was like, okay, it's on. Let's go. So since the craziness continues, the reason for it has continued. It's gone through different iterations. We tried like running it as a DAO, all voluntary, everybody kind of get your own shit done, see how it flows. With no incentive to do stuff, it's so easy to talk about doing shit right until the last minute. And then the last minute, oh, sorry. Yeah, like the band for Spring Squatch last year, right, had told us for like 5 months how much they were going to rock this thing and all this equipment they had. So we focused on like building a stage and getting the lighting and like all that other crap, right? Because they were going to bring it so hard. And 24 hours before Squatch started in April, they called and were like, wow, there's a little problem. Like, we don't have any sound gear. Like I was like, no, no, we don't own any sound. I'm like, you fucking. I could have solved this so many different ways, but now that we're 24 hours out, I'm gonna have to solve it with money. So you guys are just the biggest dickheads. So yeah, that a couple people who are gonna do critical things that just bailed at the last minute, right? So that's when Squatch was like, no. There needs to be a benevolent dictator, which is King Brian.
There you go.
So yeah, since it's getting held on my place, I was like, fuck it. Okay, and then the other thing was, I forgot, I was yelling at some musicians or some artist kids, right, who are bitching about people don't want to pay for art, yada yada. So my example is Fish. Gives everything away for free all the time, right? All their concerts are free. You could trade their shit. It's Grateful Dead, same thing, right? Ridiculously rich by just giving stuff away. So I made it part of my coffee club program now. As a coffee or cannabinoid club member, which means you buy about $40 worth of shit every month, you get access to SquatchFest eternally as part of your ticket. And the other way to get to SquatchFest now is to hit me up on Telegram or Float or MeWe, not so much, or interact with my Scrambling University show and like be an actual live human that like does something.
Yep.
If you just shit post like, here's the latest Israeli intelligence like 1,000 times a day, right? I'm gonna think you're a bot, and for sure you're not invited, right?
Yep. You need productive people that are willing to put in and actually make it an enjoyable event, not somebody who's just going to take.
I want to like the first one. We had Anthony Samaroff who wrote.
Oh yeah, he's awesome. He's awesome.
Great, right? So he gave a great. He was the first. They were kind of like TED Talks, is how I envisioned it, right?
Yeah.
Interesting, cool people would show up and just tell us what they're doing, and then they want to be there the rest of the weekend to party with everybody else anyway and hear what the other people are talking about their cool shit. I kind of got the idea down at Float, right? One guy was talking about not SpaceX. What's the other one? There's a private space company that's trying to get going with like Bitcoin.
Okay. I don't know
The gal was down there that is trying to buy the 737 because she's a commercial pilot. And they're trying to get a whole Bitcoin airline going.
Nice.
So, right, they're all talking about their thing. Like, man, this is great. So we got Anthony to come out, and then the Squatch Talk the second night was the head of the Washington State Entheogenic Society, right? So she's the advocate for all plant medicines for Washington. So she gave the talk the second night, and you're talking less than 1 year later, and now all psychedelics are legal in the city of Seattle to manufacture, possess, and consume.
Wow.
So you can grow your own mushrooms. You can make your own LSD. As long as it's in the city of Seattle, have at it. She's a licensed clinical psychologist that runs the state's children's welfare thing. So in her day job, right, she has to be 100% against it because there's still a war. Like she's on the side of the war that's trying to kill right all the people she has to work for during the day, but in her personal time she's the chairwoman of the Entheogenic Society that is like, hey, when I'm not wearing my state hat, I get to say the truth, right? Like,
throw some sand in the gears.
Yeah, like these medicines are like safer than anything I have to prescribe during my working hours because I have to use the script. After 5 o'clock, we can talk about how these other things might work better and might not hurt you. So, it's super interesting. So she was instrumental in moving that legislation forward. So Oregon has decriminalized everything.
I see.
Washington, it's now psychedelics are now legal in Seattle. Right, Colorado, mushrooms are now legal. There's mushroom testing underway, like FDA, PTSD studies are all just tons are rolling forward at this point, and all the prelims data back. There isn't anything bad in any of the studies showing up that would contraindicate microdosing, macrodosing, single dose, like all. There's so many studies now, right? They used to be able to hide those studies. Now there are. So once the data exists, it's hard.
It's unbelievable to think about how much farther ahead we could be with some of that research if it would have just been allowed to progress. I mean, these plant-based things, wherever you fall on either side of that issue, there's right and wrong ways to use it, but they do have certain medicinal benefits used in the right way. And we just haven't been able to do that research because it's been so blocked.
Okay, so we can have an argument, right, over like the efficacy of a thing once you can study the thing, right? But until you study the thing, you can't even have a discussion, let alone an intelligent argument.
The even more frustrating is the fact.
So I am making these shirts. I just sent them to the printer, so that's going to be on the back.
drug war veteran.
Yep, because I got sick of seeing all those. And then this is going to be on the front, Ethnogenic Medics Division number 4.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
They'll be on my website for $30. I just placed the order with the printer. Yeah. I'm tired of, all the guys like walking around with the like, I killed brown people in the sand shirts to get pats on the back. So who are the people that kept this plant growing on all 7 continents, even though they were under penalty of death? They are our heroes.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that earth medicine is the way to go. Right?
Yeah.
So yeah. So shirts are for sale on the website super soon. I'll get the logos and shit up today.
Yes. Send me the link to that. I'll drop it in the show notes. Talk to me a little bit about Scrambling University, project you just launched.
Yeah. Scrambling University. So yeah, it's just after I did UnLoose the Goose sit-ins for a couple of days to just help them out, and then I built the studio for other people to use to start their own podcast, vlogcast, whatever. I was like, hey, this is kind of fun.
Yeah.
So the whole Scrambling University has started. The first one was Bitcoin 101, Bitcoin from scratch. The second one was Cannabis 101, cannabinoids from scratch. The third one was somebody talking about wanting to get into quick service restaurant / mini brewery. It was like, whoa, time out. At least know the numbers. And I forgot what the fourth one was. So anyway, we're up to 4. 5 will be probably Friday. I'm going to try and do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So yeah, as I go, I'm figuring out all the screen share. I'm figuring out all the doing the show part. It's kind of fun. And I totally want to be interactive with people asking stuff. I can go deep on just about anything.
So do you take requests on that, or do you kind of have a list of topics that you're going
No, I'm just, it's starting, right?
It's
so fire me up some stuff you want me to talk about.
Hey guys, if you're watching in the chat, go ahead and drop some stuff for Brian to hit on in the next couple Scrambling Universities. And I've got a few over on Float and a couple maybe on YouTube.
Yeah, hit me up. Okay, so, and that's why I called it @Scrambling University on every platform. Just look up @Scrambling. That's it.
There you go.
Scrambling. I'll just come right up. Boom. It's me.
Yeah. So what are some of the topics that you're most passionate about talking about within that Scrambling University?
Okay. Coffee, roasting, or any kind of, if you want to start a food or restaurant business, or manufacturing of food or manufacturing of a thing, talk to me. I can help you with thinking about time, equipment, parlays, scale ups, injecting a broker sales network into the equation, right? Because if it's time to go from like selling locally, selling what you can handle, to like, okay, let's go outsource this production. Boom, you need to scale up sales in the same way. There's national networks of people that sell a bunch of stuff that once you just know they exist and how to plug into them, you can get the thing sold. But you have to build your business model with the idea of this whole middle layer that works on the scale up. If you don't plan on that from the beginning and don't get yourself aligned and priced correctly going in, you don't leave room for the suck it up layer.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the 500 Project is trying to kill them too. Right. But the middlemen have their place. They make the market because you don't know how to get your thing into all these distribution houses across the country. Well, depends what you're selling, right? There's unified distribution networks and there's non-unified distribution networks.
It's amazing how much, if you think you're going to go into producing this little thing and then there's another 50 layers that you have to learn just to be able to sell that. And it takes all the fun out of what you actually were trying to do to start with.
Right. So yeah. And once white label and private label exist as a way of doing things too, a little step back. Like, do you really like that thing you're making? Like, really, like you would just lock yourself in the basement and make the fucking thing. And if someone else, so you would do that all day, or you wouldn't. If it's the selling of the thing and the owning of the company and the marketing, doing that, if that's what you like, outsource the making of it, right? It's like figure out what the thing that I like is the entire chain, right? You can decide how much of it you want to be in or all of it to be in, right?
Yeah.
By running my coffee business, knowing all the way down to the farm, I've got my cost of getting my beans to myself as low as I possibly can because I know the system, right? So eventually I'm working on a whole other project that's about building and buying a coffee farm in El Salvador, because the whole Bitcoin city, Bitcoin beach, the money's going there. Nicaraguan coffee is awesome. I buy a lot of coffee from Rio del Coco, which is the river that separates the two countries.
Mm-hmm.
So so owning the whole chain, right? The whole chain from the seed all the way to putting it in somebody's cup means you get all the profits of the entire chain. You get the growing profit, the export profit, the import profit, the storage profit, the roasting profit, the shipping profit, the marketing profit, the sales profit, and the cup profit. All of it, all parts of the chain. And people don't realize all those little profit layers. If you can find a chain that you can get in and own all of it or control all of it, you don't have to do massive amounts of top end to be super profitable, right? Because you're in control of the whole chain, which can work for anything: livestock, pork, ducks, anything.
Yeah, you just got to figure out that niche and figure out all the parts of the chain that fit.
Right.
So we're getting close to an hour here. Is there anything you'd like to plug before we wrap this up?
Oh gosh, just go foodforestfarms.com. So easy to remember. Food Forest Farms, it's up there. But it just there's like a bunch of tabs that drop down. All my little projects are on there. So okay, if you're coming to Seattle for say Alaskan cruise, I have an Airbnb. Come stay with me. I'll pick you up at the airport. Shit, I'll drop you off at the terminal. If you want a Northwest vacation, Camp Suniki is my camp. 10 acres over on end of the road up the peninsula. It's magical. The three sides around me are like 87-year-old forest. There's like deer, bear walking around. It's awesome. And I own the 5 acres across the other side of the street. So make as much noise as you want. Have fun. Go crazy. Food Forest Farms, Camp Suniki, stay in my Airbnb, order coffee, tell people about the Coffee Club, 500 project, and advertising.
Yep. Guys, if you have anything going on, if you're selling or producing a product, hashtag 500 product wherever, or 500 club project with your the name of whatever your industry you're in. 500 project coffee or coaching or construction or whatever the thing may be. Make sure you hashtag that. Or if we'll drop the links. We'll drop those links for you in the show notes, Brian. And hey, I appreciate you jumping on with me today. It's been fun.
Thanks, Ken. It was a great show. See you, man.
Awesome. You have a great day.
Bye.